Hello. Before we get into this episode of An Awful Lot of Running, I just wanted to quickly put a little note prior to the episode saying we kind of got a little off the rails on this one. So there's a lot of adult humour, a tiny bit of inappropriateness, and so many cum jokes. So, you've been warned. This is what happens when you watch Time Flight. You become deranged. Anyway, enjoy the podcast.
Hello and welcome to An Awful Lot of Running, a Doctor Who podcast.
Woo! Here we go again.
We're back. Yes, our enjoyment for Doctor Who has not been killed post Empire of Death.
Anyway, 80s Doctor Who.
Woo, yes! And 80s Doctor Who I am not familiar with. Only a couple of episodes.
But before we get there, my name is Jack, usual host. Joining me as ever, the Nissa to my fifth Doctor. It's Robin Foale of Traken, published author himself.
There we go. I swear you always get yourself put on the spot with these, but you always manage to pull them back, and I am very excited for tonight, and I'm very excited that we have another lovely person with us tonight, don't we, Jeff?
We have our editor-in-chief, our superstar editor. She always cooks, and tonight she's the Tegan Javanka to my fifth Doctor. It's Star.
It would have been so much funnier if you called me Nissa, because that was a name I had before I picked Star.
Oh, really?
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I went Jenna, then I went Nissa, and then I went Star.
Well,
They're all really lovely names, yeah.
Well, we are here tonight focusing on the Fifth Doctor's era. We are talking about the season 19 story, Time Flight, which originally aired between the 22nd of March and 30th of March, 1982. Now, I've seen this one before, very long time ago, almost about 20 years ago. Star, I believe you've seen this one.
Yeah, it's so bad, but I love it.
It's funny because you're sort of in the minority for this one, because peeking behind the curtain a second, looking at the TARDIS wiki, as it were, this story in 2009 within the Doctor Who magazine polled at 196th out of 200 possible stories.
Okay.
So it was it was 4 away from being the worst Doctor Who story ever.
Wow.
In 2014, it was cited as the 237th out of 241. So still pretty low.
Yeah.
And let's see. I believe, actually, it was the exact same in the 60th poll as well, which was just gone past. It is consistently ranked as the lowest ranked Fifth Doctor story, Robin.
That is wild. Like, for context, listeners, I have never seen this episode. We are about to watch it right after we record this little segment, and I am both excited and very nervous the more bad I hear about this, which is great because I do not know anything about this. I don't know time period. I don't know
I can tell you one thing about it, Robin.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this episode, I said, went out 22nd of March 1982 for the first time. Yeah. Adric fucking died last week.
Oh, right after Earthshock.
Yeah.
Oh, but he was everyone's favorite character. How would the Doctor cope with that? And the audience?
I was going to say you can absolutely expect there to be some real turmoil, some real sort of some real moments of reflection as the TARDIS team think about their fallen friend. You can absolutely predict that's going to happen, can't you?
I'm sorry, Jack. Do you want to try that again and this time be a little bit more convincing? Because I am spelling bullshit from over here.
I will say, people are maybe thinking at home, why time flight? I would say why not? But also, the last time we delved into Classic Who, we did one of the peak stories, which a lot of people consider
Loved
as one
it.
of the best stories in Classic Who, The Five Doctors, which we both enjoyed greatly. I'm sure you're a fan of The Five Doctors as well, as
Yes.
most people are. Yeah. So, but the thing is about Doctor Who, and I'm going to quit my wife on this because I recently went to the BFI. Before that, I went to Doctor Who prom, so I'm feeling rejuvenated in my love of Doctor Who. And we watched the Happiness Patrol there, and I was talking to my wife about having been to the BFI and talking to people in the bar, and she was sort of like, I can imagine what you talked about. I was like, oh really, Doctor Who fan? She said, yeah, you probably talked about how most of Doctor Who is good and most of it is shit, and you just can't agree on what parts are good and what parts are shit. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, pretty much, yeah. That's Doctor Who straight up there. Yeah, exactly right. So this is sometimes I'm just hoping that we're going to watch it tonight and it's going to enter the category of so bad it's good.
I hope so, because those are my favorite categories of movies. It's like watching The Room. You just absolutely adore watching trash like that.
5 is my favorite classic Doctor.
You like him, yeah. I have a lot of nostalgia for 5 as well. I'm not gonna lie. Like I've spoken before on the podcast about how getting into Classic Who for UK TV Gold whilst series 1 was airing, Fifth Doctor was my Doctor. So this is a very nostalgic era TARDIS team and story for me. So I'm looking forward to going into it, definitely, But I suppose without further ado, it's probably best if we say ta for now, and we'll see you all once we've watched Time Flight.
One eternity later.
And we're back a few days later, but still all the same. Well, that was Time Flight. Robin, how did you?
I think we've broken him. God, we've broken him so much. My Scottish has come out.
Robin,
What was that just now? Jack, what did you both just put me to? I am so baffled. I don't know if I should be offended I should definitely be offended.
I think everyone should be offended by certain things in this story.
There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
The fact she's been silent since we watched it. Completely nothing from Robin. It's been insane.
It has been quite strange considering. I mean, we told you the reputation this story had before we went into it being one of those ones. I suppose my first question to you both is: do you think maybe our experience watching it, because we all watched it together over Discord, which was a great experience, but do you think maybe that experience might have tainted the episode? Do you think we may have enjoyed it more than we might have done by ourselves?
Oh, definitely.
I can tell you now, I possibly would have given up on this serial halfway through if it had not been for you two. Because the first 2 parts you can follow for all the absurdity episode 2 starts to become. But 3 and 4, I cannot hardly tell you what the hell happened.
I
really
honest to
can't.
God, I'm on the wiki right now looking at the synopsis of part 3 and 4, and beyond the Master going into the Doctor's TARDIS about 5 times, like in and out, doing bits and bobs, the pilot in there doing that, and then obviously they all have to fix Concorde and do this, and eventually all get back to Heathrow. Beyond those little bits, I could not tell you what really happened. Like the Xerathin and the I'm looking at these terms right now. The Zerathin, and it manifests as Antithon, and there's the Zerathas and the Vardon Kosnax War, and I'm just like, what?
What were those the Rassilon Warriors cousins, the people in silver?
What's really funny is they appear a whole series before the Raston Warrior robots, and there's definitely some crossover with the costume there. But I think it's really telling that I think it's on one of like the behind the scenes something or something. Or there's it's a story that's gone down sort of legend where I think Peter Davison and Sarah Sutton and Janet Fielding were like taking the mick out of Matthew Waterhouse because he died, and they were joking about it. He goes, well, at least I didn't have to be in time flight. And it's like, well, you are for like a split second. Yeah, it is really funny because, like, I'd say part 1 and part 2, although not peak Doctor Who, it's at least it's at least sort of enjoyable, and and you can follow the story pretty well. By the time you get to part 3, I mean, the wheels sort of fall off, don't they? And it's like,
it
what is
shits the
happening?
bed by part 3. It really does. I don't know if this is jumping a bit far ahead, because before we even watched these, you were telling me like these are infamous episodes, they're always low tier. I was like, okay, like what, first episode gonna be terrible type thing? And that first episode, if you take it on its own, isn't bad. Like the setup for the story and the initial ideas for the episode, it's like, okay, sure, we've got a mystery on our hands, and this could be something really intriguing explored. And they definitely do a good job. And hell, they even have them address the death of their recent companion, like Adric, at the start. Like, okay, cool.
Do they?
Yeah, address.
So, at the very, very start, and because you made me feel like they weren't going to address it at all, so I was like, oh, cool, they have addressed him. And then as the episode goes on, you're like, oh, is that all? Are they literally just going to go on holiday to like just cheer the children up as if they just lost a pet or something?
Yeah,
like,
no, that's pretty much it.
And then
Adric said, all right, we'll go pop off on our wee holly jobs.
yeah.
It's just like, the Doctor's basically like, we have to accept that Adric is dead. So now we will have a minute's silence for him. Right, he wants to go on a fucking holiday.
It's okay. It's okay. Just Adric went to the farm where all the other companions go when they move along.
He died last week. They had that happen. They have the very famous shot of Adric's broken gold badge for mathematical excellence on the floor of the TARDIS, and they had the sad Doctor Who theme play over it, don't they? Or is it just silence?
It's just silence.
It's just silence, isn't it? Yeah, because it's such a big dramatic thing. This episode is just like, and it's very clear that they've just dropped off the characters they had from Earthshock, and the Cyber Fleet have gone and all that stuff, and it's like pretty much Earthshock has just happened for them. Part 4 has just happened, and they're like, oh well.
Yeah. Can I also just point out something else that's kind of funny? That the whole story that where they go is set Jurassic era. If they just wait long enough, he'll catch up with them.
Yeah, because it is very because the very start of the episode, Tegan's like, "Well, can't you just use the TARDIS to go back and snatch him?" And the Doctor's, "Oh no, I can't do that. I can't go back and break my tie." I'm thinking that I don't know. I feel like you could. I feel like you could probably do that. Just have
Looks at 13.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, looks at fucking Praxius, like case in point. Like, obviously, let's face it, the Doctor was just looking for an excuse to get rid of Adric. He's just like, oh, finally, I can be rid of this little shit. But it is very funny how they start off trying to frame it as a sad, like a sort of trauma, and then just, boop, oh, we're at Heathrow.
Yeah.
Hey, cool.
Oh, this is rather jolly. Oh, where shall we go? It's like,
and it's funny as well because, like, speaking from the season as well, is that the Doctor all through season 19 has tried to get Tegan back to Heathrow because she's been whining and complaining, and like it's taken them all season to get there to this point. And she's not like, oh, I'm back now, cheers. She's very much thinking, oh, I am going to continue traveling in the TARDIS by this point. So that's funny. And oh god, I just can't. There's just so much in this. I'm just thinking, what the fuck?
I don't know if I'm speaking for you, Star, but I do find that this first episode is definitely the most tolerable of the four. I think that initial setup, like the mystery of what's happening with the Concorde that's disappeared, them going after it, them having to go into another Concorde at the same sort of like trajectory and the like, I find that all like, okay, cool. You know, where are we going to go? Is this going to be like another dimension or something? And then it's kind of by the end of the episode where you kind of really get a feel that, oh, is this what we're going to have for the rest of these? Because if so, we're going to have
yes, because by the time you get to figure out where the original Concorde went and the second Concorde, I spoke about it before as well, how derpy a plane Concorde looks, obviously for aerodynamic reasons, but it just looks really like I think there's a shot of it landing and it just looks so fucking weird.
Like, oh, you mean Thunderbird 3 as it just constantly appears on the screen? It's a little toy model.
It's really funny because you made the joke as when they get to the Jurassic era and they can see the Citadel or Fortress, whatever is over there. You made the joke of, oh, it's only a model. Yeah. And then you can very clearly see quite a few points through the episodes as well that the Concorde ones they have are very clearly just like British Airway Concorde toys they bought in the shop. And I think that just speaks to how wonderfully cute and camp Doctor Who can be, which I really like. But you really do sort of by the end of the first episode, as much as the setup to it is sort of like setting up for the fantastical, and you have it based in realism for a good bit, by the end of that first episode, you very much know what you're in for in terms of racism and dodgy monster designs.
Yeah. Oh boy, those monster designs. Because when I just saw them, I was just kind of silent and just thinking, am I the only one seeing this? Am I just that dirty-minded? And then when I finally just addressed it, it was like, Jack, Star, why are there cum monsters?
Someone got busy with the bubble wand.
Oh god, yeah, they're called the plasmatons, aren't they? And they are basically blobs of protein from the atmosphere, which we did Google mid-episode as well to find out that semen that is produced it does contain a lot of protein, so they're not exactly dodging those cum monster rumors very soon, are they? You know, you thought the gangers were bad in series 6, but no, the plasmatons have got nothing on them. And of course, it's made worse by the fact that they appear sort of randomly and sort of encapsulate characters. The cliffhanger of, you know, part 1 being the Doctor being caught by them. And then in part 2, Nyssa is caught by them as well. And I made, which I thought was a very funny joke, was Nyssa obviously looking like she was drowned by this stuff and being encapsulated in it. And I went, face it, Tegan, she's drowned.
That's the only thing that kept me like at all watching these was just all of the cum jokes that we were making the whole time. We were proper children, okay, folks? We were like the naughty school children at the back of the classroom giggling to this.
Every time someone said that, like, you know, for example, the Doctor has come, or the months have come, or this has come, or they came. It was really bad when it got to part 3, and there's like 3 or 4 mentions of penetration, where it was just like, no.
Stop it! Stop it!
The jokes just kept coming.
Then, yeah. Oh,
So that was fun, and yeah, we need to address the. I was about to say the elephant in the room, but let's say it now. Let's address the racism in the room, because Robin, before going into this, you said, you know, I know the Master is involved in this somehow in the episode.
yeah.
And we come into the episode and we meet Khalid, don't we? Who is there, who seems to be some sort of Oriental mystic. I'm not quite sure what ethnicity they're going for with the prosthetics
I think they were aiming for Arabian, which really makes it worse.
Oh,
Yeah.
honestly, no. I think no matter what you told me, I would have been like, that's really bad, because Jesus Christ. Like, you know, I know standards have changed a lot since then, but it's very worrying that we're looking at a story from only 40 years ago to have quite overt racism and blackface, yellowface in it. It's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, because when I was watching this, I think I did have to ask you both, being like, is this White or racist? You know, are they credited for racist stuff? And it was like, no, they're just credited for bad episodes of Doctor Who, not necessarily racism. It's like,
yeah. I think what really sort of is the nail in the coffin for that, because obviously it's unacceptable anyway, and I feel that this story, much like times when Cheyenne, should open with like a trigger warning, in the sense of like, you know, how senses and sensibility have come on since this, you know, at a time this was, damn it, Star.
I was trying to stop myself as well.
Okay, have progressed since the initial air date. And obviously it's unacceptable, but what makes it even worse, what's the nail in the coffin for me, is the fact that there seems to be no fucking point for the Master to be in this disguise. Like it serves no real point. Like, he stands there and it's like, oh, he utters these incantations or these chants or what have you, and he does it in a really dodgy accent, and it's like, okay, but why? Like, why did he have to do it like that?
It's the way he mentions that he researched it. He studied the whole lot. He learned everything he could to be racist.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, we know this. The Master is not a racist character. He's not the toy maker. Like, come on.
So sorry, Jack. What?
It's going to be a real issue this episode now if we're just going to start laughing every time someone says "come on." Like, let's face it, a lot of characters.
I mean, nobody listening to this is taking it seriously. Let's be real. It's fucking time flight.
I was going to say that some of the comments we've had this week in the time space, like, oh, the space.
Like, why are we even here? It's fucking time flight.
Yeah.
I say that as someone who was like, you know, put the racism aside. I genuinely think it's an all right story. It loses the plot, but it's good background noise.
I mean, yeah, it's good background noise. It's better than the Web Planet, which is terrible background noise, you know, for obvious reasons. But it is such a strange concoction of story, and it's so difficult to talk about. And I hate to keep coming back to that, but it really is.
It is, and it's like, I'm sorry, you go, Star.
I was just going to say that it comes after it follows a season where it's been pretty good. Bang. This is going to be really hard.
No, true. I'd say that, you know,
season 19's great up until time flight.
Yeah, I'd say you look at season 19 and it's like, you know, Cashavalva, bang. Doomsday, bang.
This just
Folks,
feels like
this was how we
Doctor
watched the
Who
episode.
season 19 smash or pass. Castrovelva,
But
smash.
even
Smash.
like come on, even Black Orchid's pretty good. No?
Earthshock, double smash.
Yeah.
Wait, actually, maybe no, because they kill it. They're smashing a child. That's not okay.
Oh, okay. There's actually some nice stuff in part 3 as well, being very minute, because they almost attempt to have like character drama with Nissa and Tegan. They almost
yeah.
attempt, because they have like the weird like hallucinations appearing as Tegan and Nissa are trying to get closer to they're penetrating the inner thing, which really makes no sense to me how they do that. But anyway, they talk about, no, is it part 2? No, it's part 2, isn't it? Where Nissa sees like Melka, who destroyed Traken, which was the Master's TARDIS. So they see Trepitil from the Visitation Hall, don't they? Yeah, Pterodactyl, that's the one. Yeah, they see Adric for 5 seconds as well, don't they? Like, oh, I died last week.
It is interesting because this then gets repeated in the Five Doctors. Like they take this kind of scene, this scenario, and they put it in that.
Yeah, it is funny that, because you referenced that. So I said, "Oh, is this the Five Doctors?" When we were watching it, it's very cool. And like, what I would say to that is, it's not the Five Doctors, because Nissa and Tegan don't really react to it, do they? You think that Nissa seeing the thing that destroyed her home world would be a massive source of trauma for her?
Mm.
Not really.
I mean, to be fair, that fucker just keeps showing up. She's probably just fucking tired.
I mean, that's the thing. It's really funny because this is the first time she's seen the Master since Clash of Alva, where he is walking around. Like, let's say Vanessa, the Master at this point, the Ainley Master, is walking around wearing her dead father's face, right? You think that'd be a massive thing they bring up? If that would almost be like a series arc in itself in New Who now, wouldn't it? If they was going to do something as dark as that, as have the Master wearing the companion's father's face, But nope, this is just vibing,
Oh no, this. I'm sorry. I have to just go back to this. I know we've already talked about Khalid, but when they first appeared and they started doing the voice, me watching this was thinking, oh, is this just a silly voice? Because I can't quite see the face of the character yet. Is this going to be the whole kind of argument of the Gungans and them doing a silly voice, which is like interpreted in different ways? And as the episode went on, and as they started talking about how they talk about spirits, the elementals, and I think they do mention Arabia, and it's like, oh, and it's so weird. And it's like, I knew the Master was in this. So I was like, okay, who's this character? How are they going to lead up to the Master? And so for it to just be them just having long strands of green snot pouring out of their nose, like a Nickelodeon show, before peeling off the mask and being like, it was me being racist the whole time. And it's like,
but also it's funny as well, because doesn't he gets like shot by like an energy blast or something, doesn't he? Like, it's like he's like mentally challenging, and he like, no, one of the pilots or like plane staff open the console, and it like shoots him across or something. I can't really remember what it is. Like, something happens. But it makes no sense. Like, he shoots across there, and he looks like he's dying on the floor there. Suddenly, with all that green, and by that point, we were already already lost. We were already lost the plot by that point, by all the plasmaton cum monsters, weren't we?
Yes.
So the fact that he was there with this green stuff gushing out of his face, we were gone. We were so past gone. And then of course he gets up and it's like, I'm the Master, and it's a shame that you knew it was coming, but because I feel that it's just, I can't even say it's a good reveal.
It's
I
not.
can't even say that, because it's not. When I think of a good master reveal, I think of like the gold standard. I think of Utopia. I think of I think of World Enough and Time. You know, I think of Spyfall. You know,
Dark
I think
Water?
of those. Yeah, yeah, that as well. You know, Dark Water. I think
Yeah.
of those moments. It being like it's it's the master. This was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why were you doing that though? Like,
it feels like, no, we need to have a twist. It's like, okay. And oh my God, it's just, yes, there's
sorry.
always a twist
I'm
at
sorry.
the end.
Yeah, I was going to say both me and Star. The second you said twist, both just started going. There's always a twist. There's always a twist. I feel like it's that mind worm now that we have as Doctor Who fans. This is such a chaotic episode. I'm sorry, and it's so fitting for Time Flight because what can we say about it?
The thing is, Star always says whenever we make a drink joke, drink responsibly. I don't even have to recommend this as a drinking game because we got drunk just from watching this to the point that we were just laughing our asses off
Absolutely.
like school kids and just being like, we don't even remember what the hell happened in the last 2 episodes. We were just drunk off
this story, right? Again, if we were watching it by ourselves, I think it'd be a very different story because we were watching it together and just kind of taking the piss out of it, to be honest. Especially by the last 2 parts, we were just waxing lyrical about how strange it was and just basically just doing like a riff track. Like in that circumstance, this was a legal high. Like this was like, you know, like I felt fucking like euphoric at the end of it. Like,
Yeah, high with Time Flight.
Yeah.
But I would say, as you said, Robin, to all our listeners, please do drink responsibly, but also please do not drink in Time Flight.
Please
Remember,
watch
kids, don't
Doctor
take
Who
drugs.
responsibly.
Yeah. Don't take drugs, but feel free to watch Time Flight.
I think it's really funny as well because you get to part 4 and the story just sort of stops for a bit where they're like, oh, we need to fix Concord here and do this. You take these bits from the other Concord and put them here, and the Master's just sort of standing around and the Doctor's just standing around, and it's like, okay, well, fuck already. I mean, just get on with the story. But and then you know, he bounces the Master's TARDIS, and this was all the stuff which I got really confused by, like everything with the Zerathin and the Zerathas and their home world, and they were bouncing the Master back there. I was like, okay, but you know, we know it's the Master; he's going to get out of that anyway. And then the back at Heathrow, I'm like, okay, and then I can sort of understand it again. They get back to Heathrow, and despite the fact the Doctor has been helping the pilots, the crew, been helping air traffic control through the airport there. He even talks about the unit and the Brigadier when they first catch him there. Despite that happening, these 2 like bobbies are there, like, hey, you can't park this blue box on top of the terminal here. You gotta, and like they're sort of like hassling him, and then the director comes over and he's like, oh yes, I know you've helped, but I don't believe any of this. And while that's happening, Tegan's just gone off for a fucking wander.
Yeah. She just popped around to the corner shop and then she gets left behind. It's like,
it's not even that. She's just she for some reason she just decides to go, well, I should have a look around the terminal. What?
And you know what I love? I love that the Doctor's already lost 1 companion. And so he's not keeping count. He's just like, yep, it's just me and my 1 other companion. Time to go. It's like, but Doctor, there's 2 of us. Yep, all 1 of my companions.
Yeah,
Time to go.
It's just you and me, Nissa. It's just you and me. There's no
Listen,
Dobby
Nissa.
Australians.
Listen, Nissa. We need to set up a gap so Big Finish can make audios in the future. We have to make a gap, Nissa. Nissa, gap.
Nessa, don't you understand Adric's death? Stop bringing him up. No, not talking about Adric. I'm talking about, shh, it's okay. It's okay.
They need to make money out of us.
We have to look. It's Ori Shenris coming up. We've got the gap between Planet of Fire and Caves of Androzani. Like no one likes that gap, but we have it and we can do stuff there. But this it's free real estate. It's free
Free
real estate.
estate.
Yeah, it's a very strange one. It's just, the Doctor just leaves at Tegan, and she's like, "Oh, okay, cool." But it's like they just assume Tegan is back in her own time as well. I mean, it might not necessarily be exactly right.
Mm.
She may go back home and bloody Aunt Vanessa is still alive and kicking. And she's like, "Oh shit, I need to hide myself for a bit now," But I'll tell you now, Robin, worry not, because that is not Tegan's exit from the TARDIS.
Good.
Forever. She does return, much like Ruby Sunday will be returning in season 2. So worry not.
So I know we've got a lot of different notes on things to discuss in the episode, a few pointers that we haven't come across yet.
Do we? Last time I checked the list, it was just 90% cat monsters.
Yeah, it was like, I'm going to be honest, buddy. The well of cum monster jokes it's
It's not dry.
It's not dry, It's
appropriately lubed.
Yeah. Oh God!
I think this is a contender for a horniest podcast. I'm saying something after
because we're not the ones being horny. We're not being horny. This story is goddamn.
We're still talking about it. It's definitely a contender against the Pride special.
I just thought that we just discuss a few other points before we get to the climax of the episode. That's all, folks.
All right, come on, get on with it.
So we have the fucking Three Stooges in this, the pilots that just kind of go around just doing stuff, and one of them's incredibly racist with an incredibly racist joke.
One week's like in part 1 as well. It's like not long after we first see Khalid, is it? Like, and he makes weird, like it's that weird joke about like analogy about like a
rope trick, yeah,
and it's like, dude, read the room here. And then you have the other guy, like the pilot, who's just like, I'm gonna fly the TARDIS. And I was like, what do you mean you're gonna fly the TARDIS? And then it turns out he just goes under the console and moves a couple bits around. And apparently the master is so fucking inept at knowing what is in a TARDIS, he just grabs the wrong bits because he's just like, oh yeah, this must be in here. When the Doctor's like, oh no, he got the wrong bit. It's so.
You'd think the master would be better at finding the Doctor's bits.
Yeah.
Jokes, they just keep coming and coming and coming, don't they?
But it's like you realize by the end of the episode, had it not been for the Three Stooges, the master would have gotten away. It's like, oh, okay. And are these like interesting characters? It's like, well, one of them's a racist, so I'm not exactly happy that they kind of solved the problems of the episode.
I know. It's a very, very strange one. And the whole weird sort of hypnotism, I mean, the fact that there's hypnotism involved in the first place should sort of be should be like a clue that the master is involved in some way. But it is to a scale we've not seen him sort of employ before. But it's just a bloody weird one, isn't it? That I'm going to say, I don't think it's the worst Doctor Who story I've ever seen. Because
it's entertaining, at least.
But again, and we had the same sort of conversation around things like Space Babies and 73 Yards. Was it better because we watched it as an audience together, doing that, having that experience? We we watched it together. We made those jokes together. We had that experience. We hit the climax together, just to reuse that one. So yeah, I think if I'd watched it by myself, I think I probably switched off by the time I got to part 3. And it's so strange. It's so upsetting to me that this is like the season finale of season 19. Like, this is the end point. And it's like, I mean, things don't exactly pick up with Arc of Infinity after this, but still, like,
I'd say they pick up a
Yeah.
significant amount. Not like to peak standard, but it's not time fly.
yeah. And I suppose it. Asking you how you feel, Robin, you've experienced probably one of the best, or widely regarded as the best classic Who stories. Now that being the Five Doctors for this podcast, you've now experienced what is probably one of the worst, renowned episodes of Doctor Who for the podcast. How are you feeling at this moment in time?
I mean, I still feel incredibly drunk, even though it's been a couple of days since we've watched this, processed it. Like, this is an episode that you can just feel like you're drunk without even drinking. Like, if you're with people, if you're all immature, like the three of us, you're going to have a great time. We just take the piss out of it, have a laugh. The first two episodes I could understand. The last two couldn't tell you shit. And that's not even my bad memory. That's just the weirdness of these episodes. I don't think these are terrible episodes. I can see where Star comes from, where there is things to enjoy. But at the same time, I think I would have really have just given up on these episodes after the first two had I not been with you both. The enjoyment came from being with you, making jokes, and there's a charm to these. Like, this is not insulting to my intelligence. This isn't making me angry in a way like I've been angry at other episodes. Like, aside from obvious racism, which is just fuck off with that. But the fact that there's just so many unintentional, just sexual innuendos is just like, okay, there's something fun to be had here. And the initial idea is a really good, interesting one. Like, they had the right ingredients, they just didn't make it properly in the pot. But that's my thoughts. Star, you've said before that you've actually appreciated this episode a bit more. Do you want to go more with your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd like. It's not like one I'd pick out to put on because it does have a lot of flaws. But like, I don't really have any major problem with it. I'll watch it. I'll be fine with it. I'll be kind of disgusted by the racism, but I'll move on with it. Yeah, no, it's not really much to say. It's not like I think it's a great episode. I think it's very low tier, but
there's not that much meat on this story, is there? It's been beaten to a pulp, hasn't it?
It's been pounded.
And I think at this point where we're just sort of making innuendos about it. I think I'm just looking at some production notes and different stuff on the wiki here, which is always good to do. Sarah Sutton very famously disliked the story largely because she had no idea what was going on, which I mean, we stand Sarah Sutton Nissa on this podcast anyway, but it's just like, yeah. Apparently as well, this story was originally submitted to be in season 18, where it would have served as the finale. So we might have had this instead of Logopolis as Tom Baker's final story. Can you imagine? Tom goes to like the thing that incites the Fourth Doctor's regeneration is being cut off by these monsters.
Oh my god.
It's the end, but the moment has been prepared for.
I brought condoms.
No, they're coming. They're coming everywhere.
God. Oh god, apparently Eric Sayward as well, who was script editor at the time, wanted to use this story to kill off the Master, which this is what you wanted to kill off the Master with. Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, Peter Davison considered this the worst story of his tenure, stating, and I think he's very very diplomatic saying this. A very good story, but we had run out of money. We filmed the prehistoric landscape of Heathrow Airport in Studio 8 TV Centre, a model of Concorde in the back of the studio. The monsters were bits of foam. We didn't do the story justice. Mate, I don't know. He found it frustrating that what they were rehearsing was going to look like a pile of crap. Like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fair. That is fair.
It does also go on there to say as well that, you know, the story's low budget. It probably explains why the Heathrow's airport's air traffic control is depicted as on screen consists of two men in a very small room. Like, yeah, fair enough, actually. God almighty. Oh, what a bloody story. I tell you now, it's Jesus Christ.
That's our thoughts, folks. It's just
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up, really.
I'm gonna be very fair to it. If I was gonna rate this episode,
oh my god.
and that's very difficult, I'd say parts 1 and 2 are all right. Part 3 and 4 really shit the bed. I think it's a 2, but I think in the right circumstance it can enter the category of being so bad it's good. Because we had a lot of fun with it, you know.
I'm not sure if it's that same category of so bad it's good. Like, it's not The Room where
I was going to say it's not quite akin to The Room where it's going to be quotable and you'd have to go spoons at the screen and stuff like that. No, but I don't know. It's
if you've got friends to watch this with, you'll have a blast. Especially if you're immature. If you're on your own, this is a difficult watch. I was thinking, like, maybe if I was generous, a 3 out of 10, but like, it's even then, like, I forget half the episodes for this, so it's probably more like a 2 out of 10. It's not awful. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's just very bizarre. That's putting it lightly.
Yeah. I don't know what I'd give it either, because as much as like it's just a Fifth Doctor story for me, just like very standard classic Who, where it's kind of got problems, but it's just budget. It's kind of, I'm trying to think of the words for it.
I think it's sorry, go on.
It's kind of like this is a terrible comparison. It was kind of like my granddad, because he had dementia, and it too lost the plot.
Emotional damage.
Oh, I was not ready for that.
Oh my god! I will say, I think he would have appreciated that joke. And the afterlife has YouTube, Grandad. I'm sorry.
But I think maybe let's take the opportunity there to head on over to the Space-Time Telegraph and see what the listeners think of this story. This pile of wank. Okay, firstly, I'm going to head over to the An Awful Lot Ring Twitter. First of all, we did ask on there if anyone had anything they wanted to drop about this story. We said, guess who's back? We are on episode 58 of An Awful Lot Running. We're delving back into some classic Doctor Who. Join us as we introduce Robin to Time Flight. Robin, I'm just imagining a pre-Time Flight world for you, and it feels like so full of hope and wonder.
It's just the Mr. Incredible's face of those who don't know, those who know. It's just...
there's no more fitting meme than that. I did say drop your thoughts on the Fifth Doctor story. Classic below and hear them on the pod. First one comes from Kian the Incredibly Annoying, or at Kian the Quark. Pretty sure that's torture. So Star, we may have broken some international war crime laws. we may have, the UN might be knocking on our door soon in terms of.
Is it torture if you're doing it to yourself?
Josh Murphy Studios at Studios Murphy says it's shit. Fair enough.
Short and sweet, yeah.
Yeah, Catherine Wheeler, friend of the podcast, at Wheeler Cats says, let's hear some commotion for the sidebar, because yes, we do have a very beautifully new designed thumbnail scheme on design there, which is very nice.
With thanks to the Rebel of Time, Alexander, good shout. There you go.
Here.
And me.
And you, yes. To be honest, I always just assume it's you that's done it, because
no, I get other artists. We got to promote each other's work.
We have a hub. We have a team behind us, all coming together to work on this podcast. Okay, so we got a few more in the Time Siren Discord server. Always a lovely place that people should drop into and have a bit of fun if they talk about Doctor Who and other stuff. Ewan, the one and only Shadow Docky, says, all I have to say is Earthshock should have been the finale, even though I've not actually seen Time Flight. Ewan, save yourself some time, unless we do another watch along, but in that case, just be ready.
I would love just to sit down with like us three and you and just make him watch Time Flight.
Like sorry, like it's The Ring or something. We're just passing it on. It's like he watches it and then he just hears, like the sound of one of those freaking plasmaton monsters down the phone.
Oh no. No, now I'm just thinking like in 7 days.
Yeah, but
and you get like a weird smoke effect come all over you. It's like, no, don't have come all over you.
Kat said in the server as well. Kat said nothing few 0 out of 10. I did point out that she is a fake fan for saying that because multiple Concords actually flew in this episode, and she said, "Oh no." Also, the Master in his shitty racist costume outfit flew as well. She went through something flew 3 out of 10. Ewan, bless him, did then just add in, on a positive note, it allowed stories like Fanfare, Spare Parts, Circular Time, and Mutant Phase to exist in expanded media, aka the Fifth Doctor and Nyssa traveling without Tegan or Adric present. Yeah. I mean,
money again.
Thank you, Time Flight, for Spare Parts, I guess. Jesus
From every
Christ.
evil, something good must rise.
Yeah. All things rose in this podcast. Oh, good God. Oh, I think at this point now, I think the best thing for us to do is just to say thank you, everyone, for your thoughts and comments there and stuff. Let's just move over to the Cannon Buster.
The what buster?
The Cannon Buster. God, not the Cannon Buster. God damn it. Maybe we rename it just for this one. God almighty. So, to anyone that has not listened to the podcast before, a Cannon Buster is like my little spicy nugget, my little golden nugget, my spicy, tasty little morsel of canon tea, I like to call it. I like to spill it out all over the TARDIS console and go, boom, here it is. Here's some weird stuff that happened in Doctor Who. At this point, we have to consider it all canon or none of it's canon and just enjoy it as it is. So, in this story, the Doctor tries to take Nyssa and Tegan back to the Great Exhibition in London, 1851, before landing in Heathrow Airport. That's his lovely little holiday of going, oh, well, I'm sorry your friend's dead. Let's go on holiday. But in his own personal timeline, he would visit that Great Exhibition in his 8th incarnation. and during his 11th incarnation as well. So we have yet another instance where multiple Doctors are running around at the same time. The 8th Doctor brings his companions, Charlie Pollard and Cariz, to the Great Exhibition and befriends the elderly Duke of Wellington in The Story Other Lives. And the 11th Doctor brings Amy and Rory to the same location during the comic story, The Hypothetical Gentleman. So, just like Pompeii, multiple Doctors running around having more stories at one event, one history event. And that's all we need a minute, because my God.
I
do
think
have
Jack
to
needs a
point-
cigarette after this.
Jack needs everything after this, but I do have to point out, like, you started that with, if you haven't listened to the podcast before, who the fuck is listening to Time Flight as their first podcast?
Oh no, it's the one mega fan who's like, no, this is 10 out of 10. I'm so glad
I will
at least
say
we are going to
that
give
I
it
will say
justice.
that I always subscribe to the Stan Lee Marvel method of every comic book is someone's first comic book. So it might be someone comes into this. God damn it! It might be someone chooses to listen to this episode as their first one because they know the reputation of Time Flight and they stumble upon the most chaotic podcast ever. Because it's been a while since we've done one of these. And yeah. Jesus Christ.
So much
For
the
those of
first
you who
time.
decided to make this your first time, we are sorry. Oh, no. I realised far too late as I was doing this.
I think we just need to end the podcast. We need to end the podcast. We should end this. We just stop it now.
So you're saying we need to reach our climax?
Yes, we do.
Oh, thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you for getting involved. I hope we don't do anything as chaotic in the future. I hope it's been funny. I hope it's been enjoyable. I've been Jack.
I've been Robin.
We've had
I'm
Star. Yeah, Star, our editor and superstar joining us. And this has been us talking about Time Flight.
Coming.
Amen.